welcome to Heads Up. Last week, the ritual of Teachers' Day came and went. That one day in the year when we attempt to give back to those who have taught us through the years. And this year saw more Teachers' Day celebrations across the country than usual. However, the question still remains. Are we giving our teachers the respect that they deserve? Is teaching as a profession valued in India? Are our teachers given enough value? That's what we're discussing today in the aftermath of Teachers' Day. Joining us in this discussion to my right is Dipanshi Arora. She is arguing that yes, teachers are undervalued in India. To my left is Divya Vasudev, who is also a teacher and an RJ, and she is saying that no, teachers are not given enough value. Dipanshi, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute. Why do you think teachers are undervalued in India?
See, before I start, I would like to tell that I come from a family of teachers. My grandparents were teachers, my mother is a teacher, and even I aspire to be one. But when I talk to them, I realize that the importance of teaching, the status, is somehow diminishing over the years. Like my grandparents got more respect as teachers than my mother is getting. And even we have seen that our teachers never got the due respect they deserved. They have always been undervalued. So yes, they are undervalued in today's scenario.
Divya, why do you think teachers do get enough respect or they are valued in India?
So I will start with an example. I've been a radio jockey for past 6+ years, and parallel to it, I've been teaching as well. So whenever I go to my native town or I meet people today and I tell them I'm a radio jock, people will say, "Arey wah." The moment I say, "मैं पढ़ाती भी हूँ," I also teach. The first reaction I get is, "क्या बात है?" You know, the change, the expression, it says it all. People still think being a doctor and being a teacher is probably the best thing that a woman can get and a person can get. I mean, considering that India is a youth-dominant nation who will carve the future, you need to have good teachers and you need to value them. I am a radio jock and I'm a very happy person. I talk throughout the day. But the passion I feel when I teach
Is something else.
Is definitely something else. It is a total different high when you teach.
Do you feel that other people feel that as well? I'm sure that you're a great teacher and your students get excited, but in the country, do you feel that students are able to look up to their teacher and say, you know what, she's got a tough job or he's got a tough job, and I respect that?
You know how I look at it? When you're a student and when you're studying, you probably don't value it. The moment you pass out,
Then you realize.
and you enter the world, you realize where you were and you realize the teachers. You know, the fact that UGC NET 2012 had some 5 lakh plus kids appearing for it, it says it all. 2014 had a larger number. So there are more people who are getting into the education field.
Dipanshi, why do you think that we undervalue our teachers? Why aren't we able to give them that sort of respect?
See, basically, these days, teaching is seen as a backup plan. Like, I want to become an architect, an engineer, a doctor, but if, in any case, I'm not able to accomplish my goal,
fall back on
I'll go for teaching. Why is that? The main reason for being undervalued, the profession is undervalued because people are seeing it as a backup plan, a backup option. Why is that?
Can I add something
Yeah,
to it?
sure.
I agree to the fact that a lot of people are taking it as a fallback option. But we also need to now understand the fact that teaching is not as low paid as it was. You know, a lot of people earlier had the major issue that teaching doesn't really pay well. You know, I really want to be a teacher, but paisa nahi hai utna. That's how we all, you know, measure our jobs today. Teaching is paying just as well as any other corporate job today. Plus you get an assurance, plus you get incentives, plus you get holidays, plus you get a life which is not as cutthroat as probably an IT or my own field like
But
media.
is that what gives it the respect? That you do get paid decently, you get holidays now and then? Is that what the respect that it gets?
No, but it is definitely an add-on simply because if there is a profession, I will state something. There was a study that was done in New Zealand. So out of that study, they figured out 3 main drivers that define a job status: power, money, and fame. Teaching, unfortunately, doesn't follow or fall in any of these categories. It works on a 4th absolutely different driver, which is passion. Anybody who gets into teaching will have a passion for teaching. Plus other benefits, like I said, job, holidays and everything, it is not as cutthroat as media or IT. It's definitely an add-on. But teaching today is much more relaxed, but a big challenge because year after year, you deal with kids, you teach the same thing, but you're also kind of changing with evolving technology. So teachers are learning way too much along with teaching.
Dipanshi, how much do you think it has to do with the amount that teachers earn? Do you think that's a big factor?
So, see, I think being underpaid and undervalued are entirely different things. See, we know water is critical for us. So, do we buy water in price of diamonds? No, right? Water is still easy to buy. Similarly, teachers are extremely critical for us. They value tremendously for society. But this doesn't mean that we like buy or we like should pay them in diamonds. So being underpaid and undervalued are extremely different debates. But when it comes to social perspective, people do see being teaching as being paid less or like the student behavior. There are many factors that are that influence teaching basically.
But do you feel that if the average pay of teachers increased, do you think there would be more respect to the profession? Is that one of the solutions if it's undervalued?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is not the solution. This can be an add-on, like she said, but this is not the solution for like increasing the value of teaching.
I would imagine like what Divya was saying is that when people get into teaching, it's because they want to get into teaching and they have a passion for it.
You cannot teach without a passion. I'll tell you what, I take subjects on communication and radio.
Yeah.
They are a little more interesting than, compared to other theoretical subjects. But the fact that everything starts with, everything has a bookish knowledge back to it, it is as boring. I mean, radio sounds very interesting, but I start from very basic, which is quite boring. How I teach is something that comes from within.
Yeah.
So if I choose to be a teacher tomorrow, or if I choose to be a teacher today, it is because I know that there is something in me that I want to do with it. It is easy to talk, but it is very difficult to teach.
Yeah.
And with all due respect, that is why we say teaching is the most challenging. Like somebody in the morning when I told somebody that I'm going for this program, so she's a maths teacher, and she said teaching creates the other professions, which I think is a fact.
Yeah.
If there is no teaching, I can be on radio because I love talking. I'm here in this debate because I've been taught, I have a very strong ground, and that is because of my teachers.
Yeah. And when we're talking about money and how much teachers get paid, I would assume that, you get into teaching because you have a passion. If it has a cost on it, that means that you can't create or manufacture great teachers. You have to have an intuition inside you that I want to become a teacher, and that's when you do it.
Exactly.
Dipanshi, recently for Teachers' Day, state governments usually give awards to teachers. The Prime Minister addressed teachers and students alike. Does that not mean that we're respecting or understanding the value of teachers? Is that an example of value of teachers?
Yes, it is, definitely. But does one day matter a lot? It doesn't. One day doesn't define the value. 365 days in a year, you should value each and every day. Teachers should be valued. See, the thing is that teachers have an influence of someone else's life. So that is an important factor which people should recognize. And people are not recognizing it. People think that it is easy for teachers. Why? Because of their short days, short duration of working hours, long holidays they get. These are just an incentive teachers get. People do not recognize the factor of the human aspect teachers are giving into. See, from a small toddler to a teenager, what teachers have to understand the mental scenario of the person, of the student, and then mold the person according to it. And that is extremely a tough and important job.
Yeah.
So according to that, the value the teachers are getting are extremely less. And this one day doesn't add to it.
I think I'll just add to it.
Does that one day make a difference? Or
Yes,
do we
it does,
hype
because if we can have one day celebrating love and one day celebrating Mothers and Fathers Day, I mean, it's okay to give our teachers one day as well. Well, anyways,
but
Teachers Day.
Is it just that? Is it just giving the teachers one day because?
Definitely not. I think what is more important is to change the perspective. It is not a very short duration job that teachers have. It's a proper 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
If you're in a proper government school or a college, you go at 7 in the morning and you come at 4. So that needs to be corrected. If I go as a visiting faculty, I don't go for a 30-minute lecture. I go for a 3-hour session and I talk for 3 hours. What is more challenging is for more and more people who are now getting into education and taking up teaching as a profession, it is important to now ask yourself a question. I really want to teach, why? Because I also want to add, the pay has gone really better. The teachers are paid a good amount of money. The private colleges and universities give you more money than a corporate would actually give an IT professional. So money bit is quite sorted when it comes to teaching today. And
But that might be in some schools. It might not be in some of the smaller schools.
Otherwise,
smaller
also
cities.
whatever the UGC pay scale is for colleges, lecturers, and for teachers is way, way better than what it was, say, 5 years earlier or 10 years back. So that is one reason why a lot of people are taking up education, because, you know, if you're paid well along with your passion, why wouldn't you? And teaching is a very flexible thing. I would want to now probably teach and do my PhD further ahead. Teaching gives you a lot of other opportunities to explore.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why a lot of youngsters are now taking up teaching, because you can do a lot of things. And that is also happening because we are also learning a lot of new technology. We've actually left the ratta and chalk and talk behind. We've taken digital way of teaching.
Yeah.
We've taken more practical ways of teaching.
So you're saying that with new ways of learning, students are learning to respect their teachers more and understand their value?
The teachers are becoming more entertaining. You know, somebody
Teachers are
rightly
becoming more
said,
entertaining.
I think
Okay.
Somebody rightly said that teachers need to be entertainers first.
Okay.
Because you first entertain, you then engage, and then you involve.
Okay.
So it's a process. Teaching is a process.
Why is it that we spend less to educate a teacher than we would for perhaps a lawyer or an engineer or something like that? For a teacher, I would imagine if someone's a science teacher, that's double the degree, because you need to be a great science person and you need to be a great teacher. So why do we, the question goes to both of you, why do we spend less to educate our teachers than we would in another profession? I'll start with you because you're saying it's undervalued.
Yes, because see, again, I'll go with my previous, as I said, that people still see it as a backup option. That is why teaching is on the second platform, whereas the professions like doctor, engineer, diplomats, see, according to a survey, 3 focus groups were taken. Young people, they accorded high status to diplomats, architects, engineers. The parents, the parent group accorded high status to, again, diplomats, engineers, and similarly, the career influence also went for the same scenario groups. As she said, 3 important factors: power, money, fame. So what is important is this: power, money, and fame. That is why teaching is on the second seat.
Yeah. What about you? Why do you think that we spend less to educate our teachers as compared to other professions?
I don't really agree to that point.
Okay.
I mean, there are a lot of options available for teachers. I mean, nowadays, if from school to college teachers, people teach and they're also studying parallel to, you know, being a teacher. So there are a lot of degrees, there are a lot of workshops that are held, there are a lot of other scholarships that are given to teachers after 5 years.
Teacher training programs.
Teacher training programs. Depending on what kind of subjects have you opted for and what are you teaching, so it also kind of varies. But I think there are a lot of options available for teacher. That's what I'm saying, you know, to be a teacher, if I opt to be a teacher, I need to be very clear about why I'm getting into teaching. If I'm clear about that, there are a zillion things that I can do along with it. Post those 8 hours, I can study, I can do something else. Like I am a full-time radio jock and I'm a part-time teacher. And I am not teaching because I get paid enough or, you know, I love going to fancy colleges.
You just love teaching.
I just interacting with kids, and I have to tell you, okay, I can do this, but I have a track record of full attendance when I take lectures.
Okay.
So maybe I have figured out what was missing when I was being taught.
Yeah.
So, you know, taking from, and I've done my mass comm, graduation and post-graduation. There were things that were missing when I was being taught.
Yeah.
And I knew I have to,
and you put that into.
I have to fill these voids when I
put that
teach.
into your teaching. I think we've all actually come to the consensus that if they're undervalued or not undervalued, we all respect our teachers, we all understand their value. Thank you, ladies, for coming and eloquently putting your points across. That's a wrap on the debate. We're going to slip into a short break, but we have lots more on the other side.